Welcome to the city of New Smyrna Beach, Florida, home to a vibrant community of over 31,000 residents. We take pride in our historic roots. Our vibrant community boasts an array of thriving small businesses and industries, an engaged citizenry, reliable healthcare, and top-notch schools. We're a city that blends a rich heritage with a future that holds great promise. Known for our beautiful beaches and quality of life, we're evolving into a thriving community for business growth and opportunity. We invite you to become part of our journey as we continue to shape a vibrant and promising future here in beautiful New Smyrna Beach, Florida.
Good afternoon, New Smyrna Beach residents. I'm Valli Perrine, Vice Mayor and Zone 1 Commissioner. We've had quite the busy year with construction in my zone. Fifth Street Bridge has traffic now shifted to a temporary bridge. Next steps include removing the old bridge and building a brand new one, due to be completed this October. Barracuda Bridge is a longer and more challenging project, but it's on track and will be completed in June. Planning for the Washington Street project will be 90% complete by the end of this month and out to bid this summer. I appreciate and want to thank each of the residents that have been and will be inconvenienced during construction. The final outcome will be beautiful, and our roadways will be safer and stronger for many years to come. This past year, I've worked diligently with First Step Homeless Shelter and the local police to assist with ways to address homelessness here in New Smyrna Beach. As a member of the First Step Board, and I look forward to working more with citizens to help resolve this issue. Finally, 2 years ago, a community survey stated that your #1 priority was to diversify our tax base. My goal will be to work on this over the next few years and to address these issues. I want to thank each of you for allowing me to represent our city in Zone 1. It's been a real honor for me.
Greetings from your Beachside Commissioner. 2023 was quite a year, dominated by the ravages of Hurricanes Ian and Nicole and numerous nor'easters. It's been an uphill battle for the coast. North Beach and Esther Parks have been restored. Clancy access finished this month, 27th Avenue in the design phase, and the county is working on sand replenishment. We started community chats at Coronado Civic Center, meeting key staff and answering questions, instituted community newsletters, made small improvements from upgrading Detweiler Park and courts to repairing and cleaning the Canova Grave. 2024 should see more improvements beachside. The North Atlantic stormwater system, increased electrical reliability, more streets paved, more police patrols, code enforcement, and parking enforcement. We're working to get Atlantic Avenue streetlights operating again and crosswalks restriped for pedestrian safety. New Flagler Commercial District streetlights just in time for new Christmas decorations. As we look at small actions with big impact, we'll be looking at celebrating our public accesses to the river, refurbishing Coronado Civic Center, and polishing our 3rd and South Atlantic Commercial District. I hope you will join me in celebrating our local shops and restaurants and all the history and culture that is unique to New Smyrna Beach. Please reach out to me with your questions and suggestions.
Good evening and welcome to the State of the City Address. New Smyrna Beach is a very unique place with many great assets. Your commitment to preservation by voter referendum was a defining moment in this city's history as we continue to purchase lands for preservation around Turnbull Creek. With the outpouring of community support, current grants, and the potential for future grants, the stewardship of the watershed has never looked better. Likewise, the community's goal for environmental sustainability and clean water, with the help of local organizations and groups, has created a focused and concerted effort to lead us going forward. Septic to sewer restrictions on water runoff and best practices for water consumption and fertilizer use are just some of the achievements we've accomplished. Along this line, stormwater issues have plagued the city for many decades, especially in the older neighborhoods. We have spent considerable resources and we'll continue to put significant resources into retrofitting neighborhoods to create better stormwater drainage. City staff is also working diligently in hopes of providing us additional stormwater regulations to better handle abnormal rain events that have created some flooding in neighborhoods. The building behind me is a shining example of how your local government can do a wonderful job at historic preservation. While maybe not for the faint of heart, this former Baptist church is now the city chambers and also is the City Hall Annex. This building will be here for generations to admire its unique and historical design. And finally, I'd like to recognize a thriving arts community in our town that is a reflection of the vision that you and the city both share. It's a testament to what this town can accomplish when the artists, residents, and city leadership share a common vision. With all the challenges we have, no matter how messy it seems at times, I truly believe we are headed in the right direction, and the city residents, staff, and city leadership share a common vision for this community. I want to thank you for coming out tonight. Enjoy the show.
We're happy that you're here to be with us so that we can share some of the exciting things that's going on in New Smyrna Beach. I'm Randy Hartman. I'm the commissioner that represents Zone 4, which is basically the west side of New Smyrna Beach. I'd like to talk to you tonight about 4 projects that we have in the works. 2 of them are old projects, 2 of them are new projects. The first being the Corbin Park Stormwater Master Plan. This has been ongoing for a couple of years. Got a little sidetracked by a fellow by the name of Ian, but we're at 90% completion. We're looking to go out for bid and construction to start sometime in the summer. The other is our first recreational facility west of Colony Park Road, which will be the pickleball courts off of Glencoe Road. This also has been in the works. It's also almost completed in the design phase. Should go out for bid and construction again starting in sometime during the summer, with hopeful that the completion will be before the year's end. 2 new projects that we have in the works. Our first, as you may have noticed at the Utility and City Commission joint meeting in January, is that the New Smyrna Beach Utilities Commission is looking to move their downtown campus out west to property that they own. This will give us an opportunity to create a small little municipal complex out there that may also include some of the Volusia County offices that are downtown and some city offices where we need to expand for office space. And lastly, Innovation Park. It's a development that's going south to State Road 44, west of 95, and it's going to be a mixed-use piece of property. We're going to have multifamily, single family, but more importantly, we're going to have commercial and also industrial development in that area. That's great news for you, the citizens, because it diversifies our tax base so that you, the citizens, aren't burdened to come up with our entire tax resources. But more importantly than any of that is it's also got an area designated for a mini sports complex and municipal facilities, both police and fire, through a joint project out there to enhance our benefits that we provide to the citizens on the west. Again, thank you for coming and enjoy the evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm New Smyrna Beach welcome for Mayor Fred Cleveland.
Evening, everybody. I haven't had that much fun since I was riding in the Christmas parade with Mike and Brandy. We had a lot of fun out there. All right, Mom's advice was always to play to my strengths as a young kid growing up. Playing to my strengths. So when I got this job, they told me that all I needed to do was to learn how to throw candy while riding in a fire truck at the Christmas parade. Well, after practicing my pitch, the next thing I know, Chief Feldman is writing me a citation for public nuisance and littering. And now Chief Vandermark is cranky because I've trashed his prized vintage 1947 fire truck and asking for millions to replace the entire fleet. The city attorney informs me that we're being sued for my pelting citizens with Hershey bars. And the city manager's phone is ringing off the hook because we actually towed vehicles for parking in an unmarked parade zone. All of this in my first month of holding office. What am I missing about the joys of public service? Admittedly, I'm a 3-time retirement failure, as Amy refers to me often. We came home here to retire again, and I blew it. This is pathetic. State of the city? I'm in a state of anxiety. To be truthful, I'm simply delighted to be serving as your mayor. And as long as this works for you, thank you. As long as this works for you and contributes to the city's benefit, that'll be fine. I was taught that it's more blessed to give than to receive, so Amy and I are happy to give back to this unique and special city. It's so great to be back home. Welcome, and thank you for being here. I'm honored to be here with you at your community center, the Brannon Center, named in 2016 for Fred Brannon, our former city attorney, the man who kindly offered Cuban immigrant Grandma McGuirk U.S. currency lessons so she could make change at the cash register after she purchased the Dairy Queen on US 1. I'm humbled to have the opportunity to serve the legacy of those who shaped this historic city and its richly diverse tapestry of neighborhoods that make up our American hometown coastal community feel that we all cherish even today. I'm honored to be joined by all of you who are the lifeblood of this community and the leaders who are giving us time here today. Welcome, Mayor Mackay. Stand up, Sally. Everyone wants to see who you are. Welcome, Mayor Hathaway. Jim, it's so good to see you, sir. To Danny Robbins, our county councilman, thank you, Danny, for being here. So appreciate you. Fine Board and NSB Utilities Chairman, Buddy Davenport. Buddy, thank you for being here. There he is. Dennis Hernandez, the CEO and president of Advent Hospital. Thank you, Dennis, for showing up. Appreciate you, sir. And a host of others. Now, how about those zone commissioners and the videos they presented today? Wasn't that great? Valli Perrine from Zone 1, working on offsetting the lopsided resident tax base. Lisa Martin in Zone 2, at the beach, working beachside issues. Jason McGuirk in Zone 3 on environmental stewardship and keeping hurricane prep and recovery in focus. And Randy Hartman in Zone 4, looking at our future to the west regarding stormwater, recreation, and business development. I'd like to recognize our charter officers, Kelly McQuillan, the clerk. Thank you for being here, Carrie. Kelly. Carrie Avalon, our attorney, our chief executive, our city manager, Khalid Rashadat. Mr. Rashadat, where are you? Thank you, sir. A shout out to NSB Utilities Chief Financial Officer, Ephraim Chavez. Where's Ephraim? Good to see you, sir. Thank you for being here. And Debbie Lindley from Lindley's Landscape for decorating the room. If you're not shopping at Lindley's, you're missing out. Thank you, Debbie. Also like to recognize Debbie Phillips from Congressman Corey Mills' office. Debbie, thank you for being here. Appreciate that. And Julie Watt, thank you, Julie, for being here from Chase Tremont's office. Thank you, Julie. I'd like to take a moment to recognize and highlight the charitable, volunteer, and service organizations that are the backbone of this community, the backbone of our community. These groups, many of them are staffed only by dedicated volunteers. They focus on an enormous range of needs in our community, from the homeless to individuals with special needs, to stormwater-related challenges, to environmental protection, and everything in between. They make a difference every day in our community. Some of these organizations serve quietly, while others with more of a splash, but every one of them works to make a positive difference. You know the names: Habitat for Humanity, Smyrna Cares, Atlantic Center for the Arts, Advent Hospital Board, the Turtle Trackers, the Hub, Keep NSB Clean, Marine Discovery Center, Rotary, Kiwanis, FABA, Boys and Girls Club, Kudas Unhooked, and the Chamber of Commerce. And the list goes on. Some of these folks are not even on a list or in a group. Get this. I know these three guys who got on their boat, went out and charted the lat long of each of the 66 derelict boats on the intercoastal, and then gave that information over to the city to expedite the processing for removal of those boats. That's the culture of our community. Please allow me to share with you just for one moment, the power of one. The difference that one individual can make. It's a story about a local kid speaking out about a city amenity that was in sorry, sad, run-down shape, embarrassingly out of step with NSB standards. And yet it was used by many of our families, and especially the youth. You likely know I'm talking about the NSB skate park. This budding high school senior took it upon himself to come speak at the commission meeting, convincingly stated the case for improvement, and after much staff work and coordination with the county, we will see an expansion and a new, to us, but used high school portable to become an upgraded skate park office, lounge, and safe hangout that we can all be proud of. Wyatt Luttrell, please stand up. I know you're here, Wyatt. There he is. And Mom and Dad are here. Thank you for being the parents that he needs. And one more shout out to Katie Liller for getting this started long before I got here. Again, that's our, Katie. Again, that's our community culture. Sure, the surroundings are special here, and yet NSB is even more unique because of our people. You make the real difference. I could take all of our time here and then some to attempt to individually recognize each one, but we'd be here all night. I would ask, though, that anyone who gives of yourself to volunteer your time, talent, or treasure for our community on any cause, please stand and be recognized. Go ahead. Don't be shy. Stand up. I know there's a herd of you. Look at this. This is our community. A third of the room. These are the people that make NSB special. Thank you. Please be seated. On behalf of New Smyrna Beach, we are so grateful for the difference you're making in our lives and in our community. Now back to Mom's sage advice. Play to your strengths. I'd like to introduce her. Mom, would you please stand? Ladies and gentlemen, Mary Jane Blankenship, my mom. At home, we call her the Mama Mayor. I'd like to recognize and publicly thank the senior partner of the Cleveland Group, the joy of my life, Amy Cleveland. She's my biggest critic and strongest supporter. You make so many people smile around town. Thanks for being the best part of this deal and standing up right alongside me. As many of you know, I had the privilege to serve in the Navy some years ago, and I've carried that training with me throughout my career and other careers. A key leadership lesson drilled into us at the time was the importance of raising our eyes from the deck. In aviation, it's valuing the scanning of your instantaneous instrument panel while keeping your head out of the cockpit to look for what threats and opportunities are coming at you. If you will, the importance of strategic thinking while keeping the day-to-day running. I'm proud of our city's focus on managing the day-to-day, but keeping in mind the responsibility we have to always be thinking about the future we're creating, the legacy we will leave behind, raising our eyes from the deck, if you will. I'd like to focus the balance of this evening's remarks on New Smyrna Beach's longer-term planning, being aligned under the 5 strategic pillars which the mayor and commissioners set policy for, and the staff executes on daily at the city manager's direction. I'll list these: communications and trust, quality of life measures, growth management, environmental and resiliency, and transportation and circulation. I'd like to share with you now the state of our city through the lens of those pillars. Communications and trust. First, as your city leaders, we cannot underestimate the importance of clear, transparent, and timely communication. Clear, transparent, and timely communication. And the role it plays in building trust between government and the citizens who have given us, entrusted us with your voice. Some examples are going on in the city right now. Emphasizing the concerns by starting commission meetings with the city manager's report, sharing research and follow-up on the comments brought to the commission's attention at public participation. Appointing new and engaged, experienced citizens to our functional boards to extend the capabilities of our city staff and commissioners. Responding to and protecting the needs of our citizens across our community. The Maintenance and Operations Department successfully completed over 1,500 requests for repair and maintenance across our city and have made upgrades in several facilities. The automated cell phone notification system we now use ahead of disasters, such as hurricanes, to notify everyone how and where to get vital information. Enhanced accessibility to our city leaders and staff through monthly attendance at the farmers market and other regular venues, as Commissioner Martin cited in her video. Designed, communicated, and successfully executed plans to maintain safety and order during spring break and other high-volume events. Transparency of public processes at official meetings, town halls, and workshops, designed for inclusivity and debate. While frustrating to some, this protocol protects against a rush to judgment and values a wide consideration of opinions on what and how we spend our tax dollars. We hosted several public gatherings led by both city staff directors and consultants on a variety of pressing topics, from floodwater recovery analysis, airport operations and noise abatement, development services permitting, site plan review and code compliance, historic preservation ordinances, and even the placement of a state-funded bike path. On Friday, this Friday, we'll be at the Coronado Community Center to showcase our plans for the Atlantic Avenue drainage improvements. quality of life measures pillar. I believe it's our duty as a city to ensure that we establish and safeguard the economic and environmental sustainability of our treasured coastal community. As Commissioner Perrine mentioned in her video, creating initiatives that support those goals and holding ourselves to quantifiable results will ensure that we protect property rights and leave a legacy of hope for future generations. Last year, the local fire department responded to nearly 7,000 calls and saved over $11 million in property value. That was up 7% from the year before. Most of the calls involve emergency medical and car wrecks. Our ISO public protection rating, the insurance company industry's standard to evaluate the effectiveness of community fire departments, improved from a Class 3 to a Class 2 last year. That upgrade can save us all and lower our insurance premiums for residents and businesses. Got a fire video to show you now. Tell your friends, tell your kids to sign up. It's a great career path, led by Sean Vandermark and a great team at the fire department. The airport noise and abatement study resulted in runway usage operating hour changes and landing pattern altitude increases to reduce disturbances for our residents. Enhanced partnerships with neighboring communities like Diesel Depew's Edgewater resulted in a student medical academy partnership with Edgewater and NSB High School, where our EMTs teach classes and offer ride-alongs. A partner with Advent Health, we've expanded our mental health co-responder plans for transient and low-income populations. A full-time officer from the police department focusing on our homeless folks, 2 full-time clinicians, clinical psychologists, to help them get the help needed to break the cycle. Many restoration and beautification projects planned, completed, or currently underway in our parks and public spaces. We've expanded the Youth Sports League opportunities, major improvements to the NSP Skate Park, the Mayor's Fitness Challenge overhaul, with coaches this year from New Smyrna Athletic Club, and new this year, Orange Theory. In fact, thank you, Coach Alex, for allowing me to get out tonight to be here. A citywide event scheduling through leisure services for conflicting timing reduction and online registration processing. And lastly, and maybe the most widely impactful for all of us in terms of quality of life, storm preparedness and remediation. As Commissioner McGuirk referred to in his video, of the 1,200 some homes that accumulated anywhere from 4 inches to 4 feet of water during Ian and Nicole, now less than 20 remain uninhabitable after months and months of work to get our town back to a new normal. Not downplaying the hurricane PTSD many may rightfully be suffering, I offer immediate and continuing city staff efforts, which garnered over $6 million in state funding to recover our massive canal system with desperately needed dredging. Aqua Gulf, Minorca Pond, Cemetery Canal, Cabordi Canal, and especially Turnbull Canal. And thanks to the leadership of just one, Donna Athern. Donna, right there. Donna, I hope you feel our appreciation for your helping get us the $2.5 million USDA grant that you brought home here to New Smyrna. This is another example of our culture, of our community. This year we plan to follow on with state budget request. We have followed on with state budget request of $1.2 million for storm shelter generators at the Live Oak Center, the City Gym, and the Babe James Centers. Also stormwater systems on North Atlantic and Barracuda Avenue. onto the growth management strategic pillar. It would be irresponsible to think that we can ignore the growth and progress that inevitably settles on desirable communities like ours. Did you know in the last 14 months, over 1,000 new residents arrived here in New Smyrna, according to the County Supervisor of Elections? And 218 new businesses have opened, most repurposing existing buildings, according to our economic developer, Chris Edwards. Finding the balance between accommodating growth while protecting not only the historic charm of New Smyrna Beach's heritage, but also our residents and resources as well. This is a tightrope that we must walk. Failure on either of those is not an option. This is not a question of either or. It's a challenge of how and what that the city must address. Some examples of work we've already done in this area. Leisure services, technology upgrades, and planning ahead to accommodate more residents' participation. The fire department recruiting and retention initiatives to attract the best and brightest while retaining and increasing training and promoting superstars seeking leadership positions in such a competitive market includes social media outreach, more user-friendly website, digitizing internal record keeping, as well as that recruiting video you saw. We're partnering, communicating, and sharing best practices with neighbor communities. You see, folks, we're all connected, regardless of the geographic boundaries. NSB has become a Central Florida feature attraction to neighboring municipalities not under our purview. Protecting what makes our town unique and special is essential for locals' quality of life and our businesses' survival, as Commissioner Perrine points out in her video. The design and facilitation of a countywide active shooter training exercise was led by NSB's own. It was the first of many progressive precautions that we are leading in. Our own police department Marine Patrol Unit will roll out this summer. Free training will be conducted by the United States Coast Guard and close coordination with the Volusia County Sheriff's Marine Unit. Our local Coast Guard station will result in a multi-jurisdictional authority on the waterways and in the ocean. Strategically adding headcount in key areas such as public safety, development services compliance, and cyber technology will help ensure our coastal community surroundings are maintained. Police department manpower has increased from under 50 to now 64 sworn officers and 21 civilian staff. Last year, we hired and trained 11 new officers and currently have 7 in the pipeline. We all recall the difference between spring break 2022 and 2023 with cops on bikes, the mobile command center, and our interoperability with the Sheriff's Department. I'd like to roll a video for you now.
Last week in New Smyrna Beach, the city imposed a curfew to deter problems among teens.
New Smyrna Beach police say the biggest spring break crowd they've seen was finally leaving town. News 6's Molly Reed asks how their crowd control plans worked out this year.
New Smyrna Beach police say that new plan that they put in place this year worked well. They said they had over 70 arrests this past week, all related to the spring break crowds.
They could be 18 years old, 19 years old, but half of those arrests were adults, half were juveniles, and about half were felonies and half were misdemeanors.
And Chief Eric Feldman says it wasn't just the actual spring breakers getting placed in handcuffs.
We caught 3 different drug dealers. We caught a stolen car. There was 2 guns confiscated. You know, that type of criminality is really what I'm after, and I consider that, people coming into town to prey on spring breakers.
Taming the crowd is also one of the main objectives for Feldman's new safety plan after chaos during spring break last year. He says this was the second year most Central Florida school districts had the same spring break, and thousands came back to the shores of New Smyrna, where they were met by hundreds of officers brought in from all over the region.
See our command post down in the Flagler parking lot. You see that we have cameras up. And then if you try to kind of circumvent that and go in the side streets or some of the other parks, the same presence was there as well.
Those cameras catching some of the issues in the crowd this year during the day. At night, Feldman says the city's new curfew for anyone under 18 without a parent to be inside by 11 was seemingly well advertised.
We didn't have any pushback from the kids that were here in town. Honestly, by 10:30, they were gone.
Police say the crowds were calmer than last year.
Our store got robbed, stormed, it was destroyed last year.
And those who live and work on Flagler Avenue believe it worked too.
This year, nothing even touched it.
And Chief Feldman says that they will be pulling that plan out again this year. He says maybe around Memorial Day, July 4th, and the other major holidays where they've seen a big increase in younger people coming here to New Smyrna. In New Smyrna Beach, Volusia County, I'm Molly Reed, getting results, News 6.
I want to speak directly to all our first responders. I hear your requests for more personnel and equipment. And it's my personal bias that you need them. New Smyrna Beach is a premium town demanding premium services. This is not a do we need it question. It's a how do we get there question. So I'm looking forward to working with my fellow commissioners to prioritize funding for these items in the next fiscal year. To wrap up this section, you see, my fellow citizens, I believe that our local government role is twofold. Where you and I are right now, I call Old Town NSB, say Beachside to US 1. And we must protect the look, feel, and character of it, just like other old cities around the country have done, like Annapolis, Maryland, Newport, Rhode Island, Carmel, California, Savannah, Charleston. You get the idea. This part of town is full up and must not change if we're to be true to maintaining the coastal community ambiance. Midtown, say US 1 to Mission, is about 80% full. What we need to focus on, what we need to plan, discuss, and calculate is what I call Newtown NSB and what it should look like, how it should operate, and what amenities need to be there, as Commissioner Hartman referred to in his video. My prediction is that in 10 years' time, the center of our city from a population perspective will be in proximity to I-95. The hospital is moving there. Eventually, NSB utilities will operate from there. And even now, we are receiving proposals on ideas for housing, business, public safety, and major parks and recreation acreage. This is our first opportunity to get this one right. We must look into these options with forethought, transparency, and vision for the future. More to come on this. The environmental resiliency pillar. We're blessed, all of us, to live here, to be surrounded by an abundance of natural resources. With that blessing comes the imminent challenge of the potential to be loved to death and the ever-present whims of Mother Nature's fury. We must recognize the impact our human footprint has on our delicate surroundings, and we must be ready to meet the challenge of nature in ways that protect both our environment and our residents. Most of us can relate to environmental issues like global warming, sea level rise, water purity, and air quality. The focus of our attention, both at the local, county, and state level, has been the strategic goals and economic engine which is the Indian River Lagoon, one of our most precious features of this town. My friends at the MDC and Riverside Conservancy tell me that it took decades of abuse to get us into trouble. However, even now, as the water quality returns to historic purity, increased placement of oyster beds filtering at up to 50 gallons a day of water per oyster. I'm happy to report that the waterborne plant life is returning. Manatees are flourishing, and the $300 billion economic engine we call the lagoon is on the comeback path as we continue to limit those phosphorus and nitrate runoff polluters, decrease the number of septic tanks with continued infusion of state funding for septic to sewer. This year, the MDC will construct a coastal restoration center and grow clams and oysters, seagrass, marsh grass, and mangroves for regional habitat restoration. We'll expand the local lagoon cleanup efforts to reduce the trash from entering our watershed and expand indoor and outdoor education programs. From a resiliency perspective, this means what and how do we act differently following both a natural disaster and the slow evolutionary deterioration of our surrounding. Specifically, maintenance ops continues to reopen our renowned Egyptian irrigation system of canals with clean-out initiatives. The city engineer is working with both neighborhood HOAs and county authorities to clean out their portions of this massive system, which must all work together to increase the flow. We are insisting on spill containment capacity of 1.5 cups for every cup of water that comes down on each newly constructed dwelling. Development Services has hired a project execution inspector to ensure that what was agreed on in planning is actually delivered in execution and construction. We have joined efforts with the county and neighboring cities on a county-led initiative called Building Sustainable Communities, where resources at both the county, state level will be appropriated for our initiatives to protect our beaches and inland properties from deterioration. A wildlife hazard mitigation program at the airport, protecting both local bird life and arriving and departing aircraft operating out of Jack Bolt Field. The transportation and circulation pillar. Lastly, consistent with our increasing popularity and record numbers of households moving to communities across the Sunshine State, it could only be expected that we would experience growing pains for our infrastructure. Rethinking what we've always done in order to accommodate the current and inevitable challenges we face in physically navigating our community in ways that are safe, efficient, and scalable is a key priority. What got us here will not get us there. Citizens-led parking task force had recommendations to hire a licensed, trained, certificated expert to assess their list of possible solutions, a mobility director, and a potential department for the city to have the most recurrent publicly voiced complaint not staffed with an accountable, imaginative, forward-thinking expert is unconscionable. As Commissioner Martin pointed out, we all see the continued growth and growing attractions of visitors to the beach. The Commission has increased the potency of our police department. Citation protocol is including towing and booting. This was to protect our local property owners' neighborhood. They needed assistance in this area to deter unlawful parking. Now, funny enough, I've been receiving calls regularly that while the residents and business owners appreciate the parking enforcement, just not parking enforcement of their own parking habits. These individual actions are not enough. It's my assessment that a systems approach to traffic circulation flow and parking with coordination of the county is the path forward, and we are in work on with those authorities to work out solutions together.
Come the new year, New Smyrna Beach Police will begin booting and towing cars to help control the city's growing parking issues.
That's right. West 2's Volusia County reporter Pamela Combe caught up with the chief about increased enforcement going into the new year.
The locals all know parking in New Smyrna Beach is a nightmare.
Particularly in the summertime when the traffic is trying to get onto the beach, it backs up and everybody's trying to get parking. And it can be a struggle, you know, so you have to go around quite a few times usually to find a spot.
Kathy Bourgeois works on Flagler Avenue, and while she has a designated parking spot for her at the shop she works at, she's seen how difficult it is for visitors to find a spot.
We have private parking on the side of our building, and oftentimes people think that they're going to scoot in and then take off and go to the beach, but we now end up having to tow because we have patrons that need the parking.
And while people parking in unauthorized spots is an issue, New Smyrna Beach Chief of Police Eric Feldman says the high number of unpaid parking tickets is another.
For those that want to come here and not park legally and don't care if they get parking tickets because they don't intend to pay them, then we intend to add some additional enforcement to make sure that they do.
Starting January, the city's parking division will tow and boot cars who have at least 3 unpaid parking citations.
We're also reporting that same person to the Department of Motor Vehicles. So if you have more than 3 unpaid parking tickets, there'll be a registration hold. You won't be able to update your registration on your vehicle either.
Feldman says they have over $740,000 in unpaid parking tickets. To avoid getting a ticket, be patient. You might have to drive a bit to find a spot, but it'll be worth it in the end. Reporting in New Smyrna Beach, Pamela Combe, WESH 2 News.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that. Resurfacing our airport taxiways and runways are in work following the successful application of funding grants with no expense to the city. We have an installation of a GPS system for our fire and police vehicles traveling along roadways to enable smart cues for traffic lights and enhance the safety and response time for our first responders. We're planning for delivery of 3 new fire engines through 2026, ahead of the planned equipment retirement and on order before significant pricing increases. Now, what I've outlined here are just some examples of the great work being done in New Smyrna Beach. I'm incredibly proud of the efforts by all of our city staff and humbled to work alongside such a committed, dedicated, and professional group of people. I would like to pause here and in no particular order recognize the incredibly hardworking staff responsible for this great work and discussed and tasked with so much responsibility every single day. If you're here, would you please rise? Shay McCurdy, our Assistant City Attorney. Heather Kidd, our Human Resources Director. Natalia Eckroff, our Finance Director. Chris Edwards, our Economic Development Director. David Ray, our Maintenance Operations Director. Robert Salazar, our Leisure Services Director. Thomas Farmer, the Information Technology Director. Phil Vesky, our Public Information Officer. Eric Feldman, our Police Chief. And Sean Vandermark, our Fire Chief. The room is packed and it was done expeditiously. I want to thank the city staff, Sharon Taylor Harding, our Assistant City Clerk, Demi Alvarez from the Human Resources Department, Travis Kendrick from the City Clerk staff, and Patsy Huffman for getting us all in here timely. Thank you all very, very much. If you're here on the city staff, can you please stand up? Anybody from the city staff? Thank you, Chris. Look at, they're all in the back, folks. They're the real magic behind the curtain. They're making it happen. Before I conclude here tonight, I'd like you to consider the impact of 12,775 days of dedication to New Smyrna Beach. That's the number that represents 35 years of service by our city manager, Khalid Rashadat. As many of you know, Khalid will be transitioning to a much-deserved retirement this year. The difference Khalid has made in this community cannot be understated. Khalid will be deeply missed professionally and personally by all of us. While Khalid's commitment and experience cannot be replicated, your city commission fully understands the responsibility we have to find a qualified successor in the role of our next city manager. We have engaged the services of a strategic partner to help recruit for the position, and we will have opportunities for our community to assist with our final selection. With all the work that remains ahead of us, hiring our next city manager is by far the most critical. We are fully committed to success, as Khalid counseled us in making the next selection. In NSB, it's imperative to have leadership who not only listens, but values our residents' comments and inputs. For all you have done, for the uncompromising legacy of servant leadership that you have created, Khalid, all that you've done all the time being away from the joys of your life, your 4 lovely daughters, Layat, Rhea, Amina, and Hadil, with your beautiful and talented wife, Reem. Would you please stand and be recognized again? Before I close, I'd like to remind you that this evening has been arranged for you to have maximum exposure to your elected officials. There's a reception in the room adjacent to us with refreshments, and manned by each commissioner. We will remain here for one-on-one conversations with each of you. Please stay with us and let us hear your thoughts. Finally, in closing, I ask you to join me in a call to action and raise our eyes up to see all that New Smyrna Beach is and will become. The state of our city can't easily be summed up in one word, or even a few words. You know, it's complicated. We have accomplished much, but we're not perfect. And there are many challenges ahead. I challenged myself to try to come up with one word, just one word to leave you with. My word for the state of our city is this: solid. I'm incredibly proud of our hometown and the residents and leaders that work here tirelessly to keep this community great. Together, we have built a solid foundation, a strong one that can support the weight and challenges, the celebrations of our future, if we continue to work together. There's an African proverb that I love which says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Together, New Smyrna Beach, we will go far. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless our fabulous shining city by the sea. Thank you.